Last night, the quiet London compound heard a sound that they had never heard before.
Ah!
It was the scream of a grown man, a powerful man, a feared man. And that scream came from room 3, the room of the new tenants. Let me tell you how it started. 2 years had passed since Kunle and his family left London compound. For many months after that scandal, the compound had become a place of shame. People talked, people whispered. Anytime the mayor passed by the gate of the compound, people from the streets would laugh quietly. Some tenants left immediately. Others stayed but treated him like an ordinary landlord. That was something Mayor could not tolerate. Power was the only thing that kept him alive. Without power, he felt small. And Mayor Babalola hated feeling small. So, slowly, quietly, he began rebuilding his kingdom. Tenants who knew the story began moving out. New tenants moved in. People who did not know the history. People who did not know the shame. People who saw only a strict landlord. And slowly, London compound began to shine again. The cracked walls were repainted. The courtyard was swept every morning. The signboard at the gate was cleaned again. Welcome to London. Mayor Babalola walked around proudly once again, and slowly, fear returned to the compound. Mayor returned to his old habits. Every morning, he stood near the gate like a security guard, watching, observing, judging. If someone returned home late, he noticed. If someone cooked late at night, he noticed. If someone brought visitors, he noticed. Nobody escaped his eyes. One tenant once said, "Mayor no dey sleep o." And truly, it felt like the man was everywhere. One afternoon, he shouted at a young man, "Why are you bringing girls to this compound every night, eh?" The boy stammered, "They are my cousins, sir." Mayor scoffed. In London, we don't behave like animals, so nobody knew which London he was talking about. But nobody argued because arguing with Mayor meant trouble. Then one day, a new tenant arrived and everything began to change again. Her name was Amaka. From the moment she entered London compound, people noticed her, not just because she was beautiful, but because she carried herself with a strange confidence. Amaka was tall, dark-skinned, elegant. Her smile was calm and peaceful. She wore simple but stylish dresses. She greeted everyone politely, but she never seemed afraid of anything. Even Mayor noticed her immediately. He stood by the gate, watching her as she carried her bags into room 3. His eyes followed her carefully, and inside his mind, something began to move. At first, Mayor simply watched her. Every morning, she greeted him, "Good morning, sir." Every evening, she greeted him again, "Good evening, sir." She respected him, but something about her confidence disturbed him. He did not like tenants who looked comfortable. Comfort made people bold, and bold tenants are very dangerous, according to him. So, he began his usual routine, trouble. One afternoon, Mayor knocked on her door. "Bum, bum, bum! Bum, bum, bum!" Amaka opened the door quietly. "Good afternoon, sir." Mayor frowned immediately. "Why are men always visiting you?" She blinked in surprise. "They are my brothers, sir." Mayor scoffed. "I will not allow prostitution in my compound, though." Amaka looked confused. "But sir..." "Silence!" He walked away angrily. The other tenants watched from their windows. They shook their head. They had seen this movie before. 2 days later, he returned. This time, the smell of food filled the compound. A rich aroma, spices, pepper, palm oil. Mayor stood outside her door, breathing heavily. He knocked again. When she opened, he looked irritated. "What kind of food are you cooking?" "Banga soup, sir." The aroma is disturbing everybody, Joe. She looked shocked. But sir, I just started cooking. Oh. Mayor waved his hand. Reduce it, abeg. Then he walked away again. Amaka simply watched him go. Her expression did not change, oh, but inside her mind, she was studying him. The following week, Mayor returned again. This time, he looked angry. Why are you always wearing short dresses? Amaka looked down at herself. It was a simple knee-length gown. Sir, who are you trying to seduce? Some tenants who overheard almost laughed, but nobody dared. Amaka simply nodded respectfully. I understand, sir. Mayor felt satisfied, but something about her calmness bothered him. She never argued, she never cried, she never showed fear. It was strange. As the weeks passed, Mayor's complaints became more frequent. He knocked on her door almost every other day. Visitors, clothes, food, music, everything became a problem for him. But Amaka always remained calm, always respectful, always smiling, and that confused the mayor even more. Finally, he decided to reveal the real reason he has been doing all these things he has been doing. It was around 7 p.m. The compound was quiet. Children had gone inside. The sky was turning orange. Mayor walked slowly to room 3. He knocked. Amaka opened. She looked surprised. Mayor cleared his throat. I want to talk to you. She stepped aside. Please come in. That was exactly what he wanted. When he entered the room, he looked around carefully. The room was neat. Very neat. Almost too neat. He sat down. Then he looked at her seriously. You know I don't like shouting at you. She nodded quietly. I will stop. Her eyes widened slightly. I will even cancel your next rent. She was silent. Mayor leaned forward. But there is one small thing I need. He smiled slowly. Then he said the words, I need some sugar. Amaka's face remained calm. Mayor continued talking. My wife and children are abroad. I have been lonely. This loneliness, it is affecting me. He moved closer. You understand what I mean now? Then his voice changed. If you refuse, staying in this compound may not be easy for you. Oh. The threat hung in the air. For a few seconds, the room was quiet. Then Amaka smiled and said something that made the mayor very happy. The mayor had expected anger, shock, maybe even tears. But instead, Amaka smiled. A slow, calm smile. She folded her arms gently and nodded. Okay, sir. Mayor blinked. You understand what I'm saying, Abi? Yes, sir. His eyes widened slightly. You mean you agree? Amaka walked slowly to the table beside her bed and poured water into a cup. Then she handed it to him politely. Yes, sir. I understand your situation. Mayor's heart began to race. For weeks, he had been testing her patience, and now everything was working. He tried to hide his excitement. You are a very good girl, he said. I knew you would understand me. Amaka sat down across from him. But sir, it's not now. Mayor frowned slightly. What do you mean? She lowered her voice. People in the compound are always watching. That made sense. Mayor nodded slowly. So when? Amaka leaned forward and whispered something to him. Come tonight. Mayor's eyebrows lifted. At night? Yes, sir. Very late, when everybody's asleep. Mayor felt electricity run through his body and the door will be open. Amaka smiled again. Yes, sir. Then she added softly, I will be waiting. When Mayor left the room that evening, he was almost floating. He walked across the compound with a smile. Tenants who saw him wondered what had happened. The same man who always looked angry now looked like someone who had just won the lottery. He even greeted people. Good evening. Some tenants looked shocked. One woman whispered to another, who knows what Mayor has seen? That night, Mayor could not sit still. Inside his room, he kept pacing up and down. He checked his phone, checked the time, checked his reflection in the mirror. He even changed his clothes twice. Finally, he settled on a clean kaftan. He sprayed perfume. Then he looked at himself proudly. Mayor Babalola, you still get power. He laughed quietly. Outside, the compound slowly became silent. Lights went off one by one. Doors closed. Dogs barked in the distance. Finally, the time came. The compound was dark. Only one small security light near the gate was glowing. Mayor walked quietly across the courtyard. His sandals barely made any sound. His heart was beating fast. Room 3 was ahead. The door looked slightly open, exactly as she promised. Mayor smiled. Good girl. He pushed the door gently and stepped inside. At first, the room looked very normal. The light was dim. The bed was there. The table was there. But something felt wrong. Then he saw them. 2 men sitting quietly in the room. Large men, strong men, both staring directly at him. Mayor froze. His heart stopped. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then one of the men stood up slowly. Mayor's voice trembled. Who are you? The second man closed the door behind him. Chicken. Mayor's stomach dropped. Where is Amaka? He asked. The first man laughed. You mean the woman you came to collect sugar from? Mayor's eyes widened. Fear began to crawl into his bones. I think I came to the wrong room. He tried to move toward the door, but before he could take a step, 2 strong hands grabbed him. Everything happened quickly. One man pushed him to the ground. The other tied his hands behind his back. Mayor struggled. Leave me, oh! Within seconds, he was completely helpless. Then the first man spoke quietly. You like disturbing women, nah? Mayor shook his head desperately. No, you don't understand. The second man removed his belt slowly. Then he said something that made Mayor's blood run cold. Tonight, you will understand. The first strike landed across his back. Tawai! Mayor screamed. Ah! Another strike followed. Tawai! Then another. Tawai! The sound echoed inside the small room. Mayor cried like a child. Please, I am sorry. But the beating continued. Not too long ago, but long enough for him to remember. Finally, the first man raised his hand. Stop! The room became silent again. Mayor lay on the floor, breathing heavily. Sweat covered his face. His pride had completely disappeared. The first man bent down close to his face. Listen carefully. If you ever disturb Amaka again, we will come back. The second man added calmly. The next time, it will be worse. Then they untied his hands. Mayor did not move. He simply lay there like a defeated animal. The men opened the door. Before leaving, one of them said quietly, Mayor of London. Then he laughed and they disappeared into the night. The next morning, London compound woke up to strange whispers. Nobody knew exactly what happened, but people had heard something. Some tenants said they heard screams. Others said they heard crying. Then someone saw Mayor. He was walking slowly across the compound, very slowly. His face looked swollen, his body stiff. His usual proud walk had disappeared. People stared quietly. Nobody spoke, but questions were everywhere. It didn't take long. Secrets never stay hidden in compounds. Within hours, the story began to spread. One tenant said a friend of the men had told someone. Another said Amaka herself told somebody quietly. But by afternoon, everybody knew. Mayor had gone to collect sugar. Instead, he collected something else. The story spread beyond London compound. It reached the nearby streets, the nearby shops, even the bus stops. People laughed loudly when they heard it. The mayor was beaten. The mayor cried like a baby. The mayor went to collect sugar and instead collected koboko. Within days, something began to change again. Tenants no longer feared him. They greeted him politely, but the fear was gone. Some even smiled secretly when they saw him. Mayor noticed, and it hurt him deeply. He tried to shout again, but his voice no longer carried the same power. The myth had been broken. Once again, Mayor Babalola had lost his dignity. As for Amaka, she continued living quietly in room 3, cooking her food, smiling at neighbors, living her life. Mayor never disturbed her again, not even once. Whenever their paths crossed, he looked away quickly. The compound noticed, and they understood something important. Even the most powerful tyrants can fall. Sometimes, all it takes is the right lesson. Years later, people in the neighborhood still told the story of the mayor, the story of Kunle, the story of Amaka, and the story of the night the mayor went to collect sugar and came back with stripes on his back. London compound was never the same again because one thing became clear to everyone. Power built on fear can disappear in one night, but dignity must be earned. Thank you so much for watching this story to the very end. You know that it is with your support that we keep growing. So please do not forget to like, drop a comment, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so that we can keep growing together and you don't miss out on any of our backyard stories. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye.